So, welcome to our video series celebrating Women's History Month. My name is Samantha Jean. I am the marketing manager at MassBio, an organization dedicated to advancing the Massachusetts leadership in life sciences.
And I'm Lori Lennon, founder and CEO of Thinkubator Media, an organization dedicated to elevating the profiles of women in STEM. All this month, we'll be introducing you to formidable women in STEM who are leading the way in their industry.
Thank you, Lori. Today, we're welcoming Jessica Ortiz, program manager at Boston Medical Center, Shannyn Smith at the Capitol Boutique, and Shelbe Johnson, a chemical engineering student at MIT.
A career in STEM can take many different paths. In this episode, we'll be discussing careers in STEM and the pathways our guests took to follow their passions. But to start things off, we'd love to have all of you introduce yourselves. We'll start with Shelbe. Take it away. We'd love to hear more about you.
Absolutely. Well, hi, everyone. It's an honor to be here. I'm a first-year PhD student in the MIT Chemical Engineering Department, and I'm a graduate research fellow in Dr. Brandon Dukoski's lab in the Reagan Institute of Mass General, MIT, and Harvard, where we are doing immune engineering research to help cure human disease.
Great. Jessica, do you want to introduce yourself?
Of course. Hi, everyone. My name is Jessica Ortiz. I am a program manager at Boston Medical Center. I've been working at BMC for over 10 years. I love the community work that I do, specifically with the Black and Latin community. Reaching out to all the communities in need is, as I say, is hard work, not hard work. So thank you for having me here.
Great. And Shannyn.
Pleasure to be on the panel. Thank you for inviting me. My name is Shannyn. I'm the founder of the Capitol Boutique, which is a collective of female founders of STEM startups and women investors throughout the US as a way to increase access to capital. In my background in STEM, I have an undergrad in biology from Harvard, and I went to the MIT SLO program, which is where I founded the boutique. Pleasure.
Great. Well, thank you all for joining us. It's great to have all of you here. Great. Samantha, do you want to kick it off with the questions?
Yes. So let's start with one that I'm actually very excited about asking. So many of you guys probably, when you were younger, had dreams of being maybe a princess or a policeman or woman. Yeah, a policewoman. Did you ever think in the future years that you would be where you are, that you would be in STEM? And how did you get into that journey?
I don't mind starting. So I'd say yes, absolutely. When I was 8 years old, I dressed up as a pediatrician. So I had a Cabbage Patch doll and a white jacket, which was probably my mother's blouse. So always wanted to be a doctor. And I think that curiosity in math and science came because my mother, who's a teacher, encouraged us and put us in different classes. And I remember taking chemistry class on Saturdays at the Long Island University. So I grew up in Southampton, New York, on the Shinnecock Indian Reservation. And every Saturday, my brother and I were in chemistry class. So it really started with my mom, and always I wanted to be in the sciences, science and math.
That is amazing. I was just telling before you got on, I took an AP bio class, and I think afterwards I was like, no, this is enough. We don't need to do this.
Well, and I also appreciate the Cabbage Patch doll reference. It's nice to know that they're still at our psyche.
I wish I still had them. I feel like they would be worth something now.
Yeah. I have a redheaded gymnast on some shelf somewhere in my home. So Jessica, we'd love to hear your STEM story.
Yes. So born in Puerto Rico, I was raised in Boston, youngest of four. Both of my parents, high school dropouts. None of my siblings went to college. Growing up in Boston, I seen the struggle my family went through being here. Ignorantly, I will say my parents didn't know the system quite well in the States. Very different back home. You can make it without a degree. Most of my family have like beachfront houses, 2-3 cars, but again, it's not the same way here. And they came with that mentality to the States. And when I was growing up, I just seen how much they had to struggle to try to make it here. And I just decided once I finished high school that I wanted to pursue and do something with my life. I didn't know quite yet what it was. At the age of 16, let's bring it back. At the age of 14, I got a internal bleeding and I was in the ICU for 2 weeks. The doctors didn't think I was going to make it. I had about 6 IVs in me. There was just running fluids. And I looked at myself very, very ill. Just seeing how the doctors and the nurses was working with me inspired me. So at 18, I graduated high school, became a medical assistant right away because I wanted to get into the hospitals immediately. And I didn't want to wait years. So I got in. I was working at Boston Children's Hospital. Then I moved on to Beth Israel. At that time, I graduated from Roxbury Community College with my associates in bio. Don't ask me how I did it. I did it. I said, okay, so this is what I'm graduating with. Sure, no problem. I went to work at Beth Israel. And at the time, that was when the Boston Marathon bombing happened. So I was working directly with those patients, which was an amazing experience. Once that kind of died down, I transferred over to Mass General. At the time, I graduated from UMass Boston with my exercise and sports science bachelor's. And then I moved on to Boston Medical Center, which I've been there for about 10 years. My manager was amazing. And she said, Jessica, I really do think you should go to nursing. And I said, sure, let's give it a try. So I went to Mass General IHP and I got my second bachelor's in 12 months. The craziest thing I have ever done in my entire life. I did a 4-year program in 12 months. I thought, this is the end of me. I'm not going to make it. But I made it. And I've been working at BMC, a very diverse community, population, staff, and I absolutely love it. I knew that I wanted to do something within the hospital, just didn't know what. So now that I'm involved with the community, I decided now to go back and get my master's in health management to be able to help out, the next person of my kind, only because I know what it takes to go through school without no educational background. It could be done. You just need some guidance. And I'm proud to say that I was able to make it this far. And I'm just willing to work with the next person who needs the assistance as well.
That's incredible. And we hear that a lot too. It's like, that the support system matters. The support system matters. And, just having the encouragement and someone to kind of help share resources. So it's really wonderful that you want to be that for other people. And it sounds like you had some of it, from your journey, but a lot of it was self-motivated as well.
Yes.
Wow. All right, Shelbe, tell us your STEM story.
Absolutely. So it's actually funny, for most of my life up until like middle high school, I wanted to be a lawyer. I really had a passion for like social justice and politics. My mom's a journalist, and a lot of her beat was basically that, a lot of social justice. My family's from the Caribbean, so she did a lot of coverage of the Caribbean and the political unrest there. And so I always saw myself being a lawyer, and I like to argue, and I thought that's like all lawyers did. So I was like, let's go for it. But then when I started getting to high school, I realized I liked history, but I didn't love just like reading a lot of stuff all the time. And then I learned more. That's kind of what law school is. And so I started having not really a crisis, but I just realized that maybe that's not what I could see myself doing for the rest of my life. And then my mom, she was kind of like, well, you seem to be really passionate about math and science. Maybe you should consider that. Also, at the time, I was going to a predominantly white high school in the South. And so that was kind of a like difficult time in terms of like my racial identity, growing up, being pretty young, end of middle school, beginning of high school at that time. And my first Black teacher at that school was my science teacher. And he was like the smartest person I had ever met, Mr. Ed Times. He was so smart and he explained biology so well. And I absolutely loved that class. And so that's kind of what got me thinking more of a STEM career versus like law. And eventually I stumbled upon engineering, talking to one of my uncles about it, who is an engineer. And eventually through a series of events, including losing a teacher to cancer and some other stuff, I realized that I wanted to do engineering, but in the health space, looking to solve so many problems that we have in terms of doctors just not having the tools that they need to be able to help people and treat people and solve issues. So I knew I couldn't be a doctor because I'm super squeamish, but I knew that going into chemical engineering and eventually doing more bioengineering research, I would be able to make the tools to help doctors do what they need to do every day.